Hello and welcome back to the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. I'm Isaiah, and I'm here to break down this weekend's action in Nashville, and I'm coming to you from Nashville. I won't be at the Cup Series race this weekend because I don't allow coolers in, and I have a pretty strict policy of not buying my own beer at NASCAR tracks, at least for Cup Series races. That gets a little expensive, but it should be fun action. I'm enjoying watching it from my couch this weekend with beer that I don't have to pay $10 for. So anyway, rant over. We've been on a 1 week hiatus because the sport was also on a 1 week hiatus. The last time you saw me, we hit a 31-1 or 30-1, depending on what number you got, ticket on Martin Truex Jr. at Sonoma, which was a great win. That's really all there is to say there. So this week's video, we're going to go through a race preview like we always do. I'm going to talk a bit about how you can get your names on Zane Smith's truck, which you can still do, but you're running out of time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Odd Shopper Insider Access, which is the only way that you can get access to my full NASCAR betting cards. Great, let's get into it. So this weekend, obviously, as I said, we are in Nashville. We are at Nashville Super Speedway. We are not at the Nashville Fairgrounds racetrack, which I hope we go back to someday. But the Nashville Super Speedway is a 1 1/3 mile track. It's a mostly flat concrete oval, making it the longest concrete oval on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, which means two things. First is that there is no true comparator for this track. However, we'll lean on Dover because Dover last year, I think 4 of the top 7 guys by driver rating at Dover also had top 7 or 6 driver ratings at Nashville. So anyway, there is some predictiveness between these tracks. Second, it also means you can expect plenty of tire wear because concrete is quite coarse. However, it's important to note that the weather, just like last year, does not look great for this weekend's race, which will be run at night, or at least is scheduled to run on Sunday night. So time will tell how that works out for the sport. So before we get into the picks, let me talk a little bit about Tipico Sportsbook, which will be sponsoring Zane Smith at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in a couple of weeks in the Truck Series. If you've ever wanted your name on a Craftsman Truck Series truck, well, you can't get it on the name rail, but you can get it on the side if you deposit at least $38 at Tipico. You'll get $150 in bet credits, which, again, are not withdrawable. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem. And you'll get your name on the truck if you're one of the first 300 depositors who puts at least $38 into their account and opts into the promotion. Act fast because they're running out of space. Also, another cool part of this promotion is that the top 5 depositors and deposit size will get VIP passes to a truck event of their choosing. So if you don't live in Ohio, you're not obligated to go to the Mid-Ohio race. Again, for more details and disclaimers, please check out the video description. Let me pull up the odds board now as we get into the picks. So got a kind of condensed view this week because my second monitor is broken, which is lovely, but we should be getting that replaced soon. So by this time next week, we'll be back to a normal view of the odds board, I hope. Our first pick. So last weekend we cashed that 30-1 ticket on Martin Truex Jr. We're going to go back to the well here, actually. We're not going to take I think it's plus 720 here at Tipico. You can get the 15-2 or plus 750 at DraftKings. That's going to be the line that I prefer here. There's a couple of reasons why we're going back to the well with Truex right after his strong performance at Sonoma. Number one is that Truex dominated this event last year before weather ruined his day. I'm pretty sure he won the first 2 stages and was looking like he was set up to win the damn thing, but unfortunately, Mother Nature had something else in mind. We also have a 2-race sample of events at Nashville, and which just makes Truex's dominance in the second event here that much more meaningful because we have such a limited sample size to work with. Next, the Dover results this year also point to value here. Truex won the Dover race and recorded the 4th best driver rating in the process, while his Joe Gibbs Racing teammates recorded the 5th and 6th best ratings. Joe Gibbs Racing also occupied half of the top 6 positions. So their performance at Dover is seriously encouraging for what we could see at Nashville this weekend. They also looked pretty good here last year up until the weather happened. Truex is trading between 6-1 and 15-2 at DraftKings. Like I said earlier, I want that number at DraftKings. I think it disappears post-qualifying. Great. Our next pick. Let's see what the price is. Okay. At Tipico, the price is as long as you're going to get it. It's also at 11-1 at FanDuel. We're going to be taking Ross Chastain with our second pick. Chastain actually has the 2nd best resume of all drivers in the Cup Series at Nashville. He has an average finish of 3.5, which is absurd. Only Kyle Larson has a better average finish, and that's because it's Kyle freaking Larson. I think his average finish is 2.5. So yeah, Kyle Larson really impressive, but he's also very, very expensive. I think he's plus 550 at Tipico. Ross Chastain is double that at 11 to 1. So he got his best finish here actually in 2021 before he joined or before Trackhouse Racing bought out Chip Ganassi Racing. He piloted the number 42 Chevrolet to a second place finish behind Kyle Larson in 2021, which is all the more impressive because CGR was pretty terrible that year. He also got the P5 with Trackhouse last year, which was a solid showing. However, we're not just taking Chastain because he's really good at Nashville. We're also taking Chastain because he was really good at Dover this year. He recorded the second most laps led and the best driver rating in the event, which is hard to do because usually if you lead the most laps or you win the race, you record the best driver rating. But Chastain, despite only leading 98 laps, recorded the second best driver or the best driver rating and didn't win the race. So kudos to him for that. Trackhouse Racing hasn't shown as much speed this year as it showed last year, but the numbers from Dover are pretty encouraging. Further, Chastain tends to excel at tracks that have high tire wear. See Darlington. He's also yet to win this year, so his team may get a little bit aggressive in pursuit of a win. The 11 to 1 at FanDuel is just way too long for a driver who has the speed Chastain does at Dover and at Nashville. Before we get into our last pick, which will not be an outright this week because I'm keeping my outright card pretty small, I'm going to talk about Odd Shopper Insider Access because that's the only way you can get access to my full NASCAR betting cards. We have one more outright over at Odd Shopper Insider Access, which I will not be talking about. It is also not in the article that you can read online that breaks down these picks in a little bit further detail. But Odd Shopper Insider Access is great. You get access to our betting experts in a premium Discord, which means you get live betting advice. Why is this important? Well, here's an example from today. I've been betting a lot on the College World Series and making a decent amount of money. I bet the under 11.5 on the LSU Wake Forest game today. I also bet Wake Forest money line at plus 165. The under when I bought it was at 11.5. As I said, the money line when I bought it for Wake was at plus 165. If you look at the markets right now, the total has moved from 11.5 to 7.5. And the money line for Wake has moved from plus 165 to I think plus 110, plus 115. So yeah, that's why you want to be in this Discord because you get the best numbers available in real time, and you can beat the market with us. It's a blast. Also, you can get your first week of access for half off with code ISInsider. After that, it's just $19.95. With winners like the ones we've been posting lately, it's a service that pays for itself. So yeah, I strongly recommend you check it out. Great. Let's get into our last pick as promised. So again, this is not going to be an outright, although I guess you could also take this driver to win outright. I don't hate that. But we're going to take Brad Keselowski to get a top 10 at odds of 3 to 2. That is an absurd price for Keselowski. There's a reason why, so 3 to 2 converts to plus 150. If you look at this at FanDuel, it's plus 105, but at BetMGM, it's plus 150. So that's where you want to buy this at BetMGM. That's a 10 percentage point difference in implied odds. The BetMGM number is the one that's wrong. Keselowski hasn't done anything really at Nashville and Cup, but that's partially because we have a sample size of 2, and one of them came in his first year with RFK Racing when they were still trying to get their act together. However, he has done a lot here in the Xfinity Series. He has 10 starts, 2 of which came for a team that was not really competitive. I'm pretty sure the other 8 came half with Penske, half with Junior Motorsports. If it was called that then, maybe DEI, I forget what Junior was calling it back then. But yeah, very impressive resume. He also had led double-digit laps in half of those 10 starts, and he recorded a driver rating above 108 and a driver rating of 125 plus in 4. So Keselowski can win at Nashville. He can run well here. He just hasn't so far. I think that changes. And I mean, again, this is just a top 10 market. He has to be in the top 25% of the field. I think he can do that easily. Further, let's go back to Dover real quick. RFK Racing looked super impressive at Dover and has looked a lot better this year in general. Brad finished P8 at Dover. His teammate Chris Buescher got P9. They qualified in the top 5. Both of them did. Buescher, I think, got 5th and Keselowski got 4th. So I don't think the plus 150 is going to be available when the green flag flies on this race. I think RFK Racing will qualify well again. I think that this number is probably going to be trading around plus 100, minus 110. when the green flag flies. So definitely take advantage of the plus 150 at BetMGM while that number is still available, because it will not be up there forever. Also noteworthy is that I know Keselowski's trading. If we scroll down on the odds board, you'll see him at 40 to 1 right there. You can get him at 45 to 1 some other places. I don't hate sprinkling on that, honestly. It's a little long of a number. I think Keselowski is taking more of a points racing approach than a going for the win approach. But he's also a super contrarian driver, and it might rain. So he could be the guy who stays out and hopes that the race gets called instead of pitting. So yeah, that 45 to 1 outright number is not a terrible deal. But I prefer the top 10 at plus 150 because I think RFK Racing is taking more of a points approach. All right, let me pull this odds board out of here and let's go through our recap for this race. So number 1, MTJ 15 to 2. That's a great deal, great number. It's 6 to 1 elsewhere. Number 2, Chastain 11 to 1. You can get that at Tipico, or you can get that at FanDuel. It's trading at 10 to 1 in some spots, so the 11 to 1 is a good deal. Number 3, Keselowski top 10 and possibly Keselowski outright. Keselowski top 10 again, trading at 3 to 2 or plus 150. Outright trading at 45 to 1 in the right spots. That's going to do it for this week's video. As always, like and subscribe if you found this content useful. Please do make you some money, of course. And if you haven't liked or subscribed or commented, do that then. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you back here again next week.